Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Explainer. So let's jump right in, because what we're digging into today, it's not just another software update or a minor patch, it's honestly a civilizational data point coming straight out from behind the walls of Anthropic. Lately, the whole enterprise AI conversation has been totally obsessed with deployment numbers and funding rounds, but the real story of 2026, the one that's going to have the absolute longest tail, is happening quietly, right now. It's a story of how Claude is literally building itself.
I want to start off with a single number, 0. This comes straight from Boris Cherny. He's the head of Anthropic's Claude Code. And in over 2 months, Boris has written exactly 0 lines of code by hand. Not one function, not one variable, 0. Just let that sink in for a second. The head of an elite engineering team at one of the top AI labs in the world hasn't manually coded a single line in over 60 days.
Now, you might be wondering, is he just taking a really long vacation? No way. His daily output is actually staggering. He's pushing 22 to 27 pull requests a day. But here's the catch. Every single one of those requests, every piece of logic, every structural tweak is written entirely by Claude. The AI is doing all the typing. The human, he's just orchestrating the whole thing. Which brings us to section 1, the zero-code reality. Let's take a look inside Anthropic's daily workflow. You really have to understand that this isn't just some neat productivity hack. It's a complete disruption of how a lead engineer spends their day. Boris actually said something really telling about this. He said, "I have never had this much joy day to day in my work. All the tedious work, Claude does it, and I get to be creative." So it's not just about doing the same old job faster. It's fundamentally changing the nature of the job itself. It totally wipes out the tedious, grindy parts of implementation and just unlocks pure creative direction. He gets to think entirely about what to build next, not how to type it out.
All right, moving into section 2. We build Claude with Claude. The loop is officially closing.
If we zoom out from just one lead engineer to the entire company, the stats are wild. Based on Anthropic's own numbers, somewhere between 70 to 90%, averaging out to a massive 80% of all code at the company is now AI generated. Anthropic's official, plainly stated position is literally, we build Claude with Claude. The engineers building the model aren't really writing the instructions anymore. The model is doing it.
And if we step one layer deeper into Claude Code itself, that specific agentic coding tool, it sits at around 90% self-generated. I mean, the model is actively participating in its own construction. It's not a developer using an AI assistant to make a separate app. It's the AI assistant building the AI assistant.
And the speed this unlocks is just, it's hard to wrap your head around. Take Anthropic's new desktop automation agent, Coworks. Boris's team built that entire tool in about a week and a half, just using Claude Code. They took a massive, complex, company-level product from concept to reality in days, entirely because the humans were freed from the bottleneck of manual implementation.
Let's head into section 3, redefining software engineering, from writing to directing.
So think about this for a second. If the AI is writing 90% of the code, what exactly does a software engineer even do now? Well, the old paradigm was all about hiring specialists, people who were absolute experts in traditional programming syntax. But Anthropic's new reality? They're hiring generalists, people who focus almost exclusively on creative direction. You don't need someone who has every syntax rule memorized when Claude can just fill in all the blanks. You don't need a syntax expert. You need a visionary director.
To really grasp how fast this shift is happening, we have to look at the timeline. Earlier this year at Davos, Anthropic's CEO Dario Amodei predicted that AI would handle most or even all of software engineering end-to-end, and he gave that a 6 to 12-month horizon. Well, here we are in April 2026. The data we just went over proves his prediction wasn't some far-off sci-fi dream. The window is now. The future basically arrived on the absolute earliest edge of his prediction.
Section 4. Coming for knowledge work. The ripple effect.
Now, if you're thinking, well, I'm not a coder, so this doesn't really affect me, you might want to rethink that. Boris is super direct about this. He states, we will then start seeing similar stats for non-coding computer work also. That is a massive, massive statement. The exact same feedback loop that just completely swallowed software engineering is coming for the broader knowledge economy. Marketing, legal analysis, admin work. If your job happens on a computer, this zero-code reality is heading straight for you. You can literally watch how this progresses step by step. First, it started with AI just kind of assisting human engineers. Then, boom, it escalates to AI writing 90% of the implementation code.
That naturally forces hiring to shift away from technical specialists toward creative generalists. And the logical, inevitable next step, AI handling non-coding knowledge work in the exact same way. The dominoes are already falling, and the progression is super clear.
Finally, Section 5, the new normal, a civilizational data point.
This isn't just a cool feature announcement. We are talking about a fundamental shift in how human beings create things. We're past the point of AI being a mere assistant. We are literally watching the boundary between human authorship and machine authorship dissolve. And it's happening inside the very lab where the machine is made. Seriously, when a tool builds 90% of itself, who's the author? The human directing it or the machine generating it? Boris didn't hide this data in some stuffy academic paper. He just casually posted it on social media. Because for Anthropic, a human writing zero code while pushing 27 updates a day is just normal now. So the big question I want to leave you with today is this. How long before this is the new normal everywhere? And honestly, what does that mean for you and everyone else who builds things for a living? Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.